Continuing on with the interface configuration, we're going to move into layer 3 port channels. So I've changed the topology up a little bit. This is the topology that we're now going to be using. So interfaces E1/2, 1/3 and E1/4 will be members of a port channel. And I already have Nexus 1 and Nexus 2 open. So let's have a look at that. The first thing that you have to do is, we could use static port channels, but I'll be using the industry standard, which is LACP. And the first thing that we need to do is enable the LACP feature. So if I say feature LACP, and this needs to be done on Nexus 1 and on Nexus 2. And LACP has been enabled. And then what I can do, if I say interface E1/2 to 4, this is the range command for the Nexus. And then I will say no switch port for these 3 interfaces. And then what I can say is channel group, let's call it channel group 3, and mode is active. Now with LACP, the active mode will automatically initiate negotiations with other ports, whereas the passive mode, it won't actively negotiate, but it will respond. So on Nexus 1, I will make it active, and on Nexus 2. Guys, I have a request from you. If you're enjoying the free content, I'm looking to increase my subscriber count to 4,000 subscribers by June. But I can only do that if you give me the Play Special. Do you want to know what the Play Special is? Press like and subscribe. Okay, back to the video. I could either say active to actively negotiate or passive. I will probably configure it as passive. I'll make sure that these interfaces are up, and then we'll go into the actual port channel. So I'll say interface port channel 3. And there's a few LACP commands that we could do here. Again, I'm going to say no switch port. What I could say is LACP, the minimum amount of links that this port channel can have is 2. So if it goes anything less than 2, then the port channel will be down. And what I could say is the maximum amount of links it could have is 8. And there's lots more commands that you could do on this, but I think that will be it for now. I will give it an IP address as well, because it is a layer 3 port channel. If I just say 192.168.0.1/24, and we'll bring the port channel up. And the way to check the port channels, if we just say show port channel summary, if we look at the port channel summary, we can see that it is using LACP. It has 3 members, and the little S means that the port channel is currently suspended. I think that's because it hasn't been activated on the other side. We can see that it is actually down, and R, I don't know what R actually means here. Oh, and it's a routed port channel. So that is excellent for that side. Let's try and do the same configuration on Nexus 2. So again, if I say interface E1/2 to 4, no switch port, no switch port. If I say channel group 3, and this time the mode will be passive. Let's no shut those interfaces. And then interface port channel 3. I'm just going to do the IP, I'm going to make it a no switch port. I'll just say IP address 192.168.0.2, which is the other end of the port channel. No shut. Show port channel summary. And it's routed and it's up. So you see routed up. It's using LACP. Big P means that these are all up in the port channel. Ethernet 1, 2 and 3, and we should be able to ping the other side as well. So if I say do ping 192.168.0.1, and we can see that that is reachable. That's excellent for port channels. The last thing that I'm going to show you here is a port profile. We saw it briefly mentioned here, a port profile. And what a port profile is a simple way to configure the interfaces. So by assigning a port file to multiple interfaces, we could provide all of these interfaces with the same configuration, and any change made within the port profile is inherited by all the other assigned interfaces. And I'm only going to do this on one Nexus, so I'll just do it here on Nexus 2. If we have a look at interfaces that we didn't configure, so like 7 till 10, so show run interface E1/7, it's got no configuration on it. So what I can do, if I just start off with a port profile, if I say port profile, and there's 3 types of port profiles. You can have like an Ethernet port profile, interface VLAN, which is like for SVIs and port channels, but I'm just going to do the Ethernet one. So port profile type, we're going to say Ethernet. And let me just, before I run Ethernet, just show you the 3 types here. If you do a question mark here, you see you have Ethernet, interface VLAN, and port channel. And if we say Ethernet, and I'm just going to call the port profile test, we're going to say switch port. And we're going to say the switch port mode is access. Each of these switch port access can be VLAN 99, and we're just going to say spanning tree port type. They're all going to be edge ports. Alright, I think that is it for our port profile. We need to actually bring it up as well, so we're going to say the port profile state is enabled, and we're going to exit. This on its own does nothing. It's not until you actually make those interfaces inherit the port profile. So currently, if I say show run interface E1/7, still no configuration under it. Now let's make that VLAN. So VLAN 99, then exit, show VLAN brief. We have our VLAN 99, and we can see it has no ports to it at the moment, only Ethernet 1/1, which is a trunk port. If I now say for interface E1/7 to 10, and I'm going to say they're going to inherit that port profile. So inherit port profile test. It's doing something. And we can see a lot of messages come up. Now if I do show run interface E1/7, we can see it's inherited the port profile test. So if I say show interface brief and look for E1/7, we can now see that E1/7, 8, 9, and 10 have all been allocated to VLAN 99, and all we have to do is up those interfaces. So if I say no shut, show interface brief, even though these links are not connected, we can see that E1/7, which is the only one which is up, is in VLAN 99 as an access port. Okay, that's it for our layer 3 interface configuration. I will see you in the next video.